Welcome to a bonus video, audio, whatever you want to call it, a bonus thing. That's what we're going to call it, a bonus thing. Officially, a Capes and Tights bonus thing with the one and only, the great, the talented Kevin Eastman, co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He joined us for a quick conversation about the Last Ronin, as well as the Last Ronin, the Lost Years, and more. So check out this quick conversation with Kevin Eastman, co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, as well as visit capesandtights.com for a bunch more stuff. And like, rate, review, subscribe, do all that stuff. 5 stars on Apple and Spotify for the Capes and Tights podcast. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this quick conversation with Kevin Eastman, co-creator of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Turtle Power.
How are you? Nice to be here.
Thank you for having us and talking with us here at Capes and Tights podcast. Let's just jump right in then. Hello from Maine, and congrats, I guess, on being a New York Times bestselling writer, right? I mean, with the Last Ronin making the list, right?
Yeah, I get that as a tattoo now, or so. No, I don't. It was quite a surprise. It was pretty fascinating. There was a whole village of us that helped put the issue together. So
it's kind of funny. I'm always like, oh, do you say that? Do you now say that you're a New York Times bestselling author? I guess, right? If you're not going to write that long-term novel, you might as well just take this and get it when you can.
Yes, I get a seat next to Stephen King at Denny's or something. Yeah,
exactly. With the Turtles being almost 40 years old, did you ever imagine that you'd still be writing the Turtles story right now?
Oh my goodness, no. I mean, I really think that's something I get to pinch myself on regularly when I get up. And I was drawing before jumping on the phone with you, and I'll go back to drawing turtle stuff after. But it's when Peter and I put out that first issue, it was a beginning, middle, and end story because we never thought there'd be a second issue. And then suddenly we're looking at 2024 and it's been 40 years, and holy crikey, it's quite a gift. And I really couldn't have done it, wouldn't be here without the fans that have made it possible all these years, because they've given me the greatest job ever. So I hope I continue to keep earning it.
Exactly. And you mentioned, obviously, as you mentioned 40 years ago, or almost 40 years ago, being from New England, we're, located in Bangor, Maine. So we're over here in Maine. So a lot of times we like to focus on Maine things. And you get to work on this project, The Last Ronin, with Maine's own Ben Bishop. How has it been like cultivating and getting him going on the Turtles?
Yeah, well, Anna Kendrick wasn't available. She's from Maine as well. And, you know what? It's funny because it really was a wonderful series of, I guess I call them happy accidents that brought us together. I was aware of Ben's work. He had sent a copy of his Kickstarter book, The Aggregate, for me to do a quote on. And David, Tom Walsh and I had been putting together the story that would become The Last Ronin, and we were looking for the right artist to be part of it. For this flashback sequences. And so we had the Escorza brothers, which we wanted to work with to do the kind of the main here and now body of The Last Ronin. But for the flashbacks, I just really loved Ben's very unique style. It would separate from the brothers. We'd already worked with him on another creator on series that we're doing with him called Drawing Blood. And so, he was just a natural fit and perfect for that. And it just made it work, because originally he wasn't part of it. And then, through a series of happy accidents, he became part of it and an important part of it. And, I teased him because I said, dude, you really got some of the most killer scenes in this series that you basically, Tom and I carefully crafted how to dispose of each of our sons, our turtles, and Ben got to draw them. So it was great. And he's incredibly gifted, and I'm really proud to be working with him.
Oh, he's basically taking the credit of killing the turtles off, so it's fine on that too.
Well, it's funny because I always say that, and I tease him because I get to say, well, Mr. Big Pants Ben Bishop, but it's I always tease him. I say, well, you can take all the credit you want, but Tom and I wrote the story, and I did the layouts, and I said, draw this, and you drew it, and so yeah, you can say you killed them, but there is no I in team, and I make sure that I point that out, that it really was an incredibly gifted crew of people. Besides Tom Waltz, who had written 100 issues of the Turtles, and we had such a great creative bond together, building off a story that Pete and I wrote in 1987 to the Scorza brothers, who were these identical twins that draw exactly alike, to Ben's part, and then this incredible colorist, Luis Antonio Delgado, who colored and brought the whole thing together. It really was a dream team of people that I'm going to take all the credit for. So,
and that's funny. You mentioned all those team members that made up the Last Ronin's first 5 issues. What was been different working on these stories based on the ones that you told last? I know the last one was like 30 years of cultivating that story, but this is more something building on that.
Well, with the Last Ronin, the Lost Years series that we're doing now, one of the cool parts is Tom and I were building out what we call the Ronin verse, because we were working off a incredibly strong 20-page outline that Pete and I wrote in 1987. And so when we were building out the Ronin verse and cobbling together the pieces that we wanted in the story, there was lots of pieces that we set aside that didn't fit, that we said, man, it'd be great to go back again and visit that place or there and tell more about it. But we really didn't know how it would be received or would get that chance. And so when it did as well as it did, and it was suggested we look at doing a second series, Last Ronin 2, but let's do something interim. And one of the favorite moments was that Tom and I had was when Michelangelo goes to Japan in issue 4, finds out what happened to Splinter and Donatello there, and then it becomes this 16-year journey of what happens to him there before it leads him back to page 1 of issue 1 of the first Last Ronin. And so that was a great opportunity to really show how this character transitioned from what everybody knows as Michelangelo, kind of the fun-loving, more laid-back turtle, into this, ruthless, killer that has to take, finally, end this honor and this redemption for his family. So it was great. And so what we also built into that was, at the end of issue 5, you saw the 4 new turtles. And so Lost Years is broken into 2 parts, kind of like it's a prequel as well as a sequel, so that we have each issue taking place 3 years apart, and we show what's happening since Last Ronin ended, and as well as every 3 years, as well as showing what happened leading up to Last Ronin every 3 years apart, as Michelangelo's journey takes us back to square one. So it was fun. So that'll lead us straight into Last Ronin 2, which we're going to have the original A team back together, which is the Scorza brothers and Ben Bishop and Tom and I. So but this was really a great and really fun and exciting story to put some of those pieces together, because there's some pretty neat stuff in there.
And so, like you mentioned, the 4 new turtles, I'm guessing we are going to see a lot more of them in this current series, but is this going to also project into other things that are going to go on in the future with these 4 new turtles?
We will see. It was one of those, they will be the main focus of Last Ronin 2. By the time you get to issue 5 of Last Ronin, the Lost Years, issue 5, like I said, it takes place 3 years apart. So they're 15 years old at the end of issue 5, which leads, what you're going to see at the end of issue 5 leads directly into Last Ronin 2, which features, Casey Marie as their sensei, in April as the grandmother, and, her playing that key role, and then 4 new turtles that Tom and I created for the series 4, with Nickelodeon's blessing, but we came up with the concept, named him, and Ben Bishop even got to do some design work on him. So it was great to have that part of the team together too.
That's awesome. And just lastly, what led to the different size of the book? So I know, like, being in the LCSs and seeing people like, wow, is this going to be that different size of Last Ronin? Last Ronin, is this going to be the different? And it ends up being a normal comic book size. What went into that decision?
It was just because we wanted to keep the Last Ronin series, because there'll be, Last Ronin 2, which would be similar to my request when I pitched the Last Ronin to Nickelodeon. As I said, I wanted to do them very much like the original Mirage Studios issues. The earliest issues that Peter and I did were oversized. Mm-hmm. The first issue was 40 pages, and most of the stories were roughly 37 to 40 pages long. And so I wanted an oversized, I wanted a longer story. So 200-page stories spread between 5 oversized books. and they agreed, and so it worked perfectly for that format. So with Last Ronin Lost Years, we wanted to do it comic size, but when you get to Last Ronin 2, we'll go back to that original format, which is it'll be 5 issues, 40 pages each, and so 200 pages of that deluxe format. So keep it unique, special for that.
Exactly. And it's awesome. You guys have been doing a great job. And obviously, you haven't slowed down even a slightest bit in this turtle stuff. So keep it up, keep the good work up, and keep giving Ben a hard time because he deserves it. So,
well, yeah, I know. I say, hey, he's going to be a dad.
Yes,
any day. Yeah,
any day now. Well, I wanted to text him, and I'm like, I'm not going to bother him right now. I'll leave him alone.
Oh, but he loves to be bothered. No, we're very proud of Ben, and very proud to, I still have a lot of family in Maine, and it's give me half an excuse to go back to Maine, and I love it. Getting back there, it's home turf, and I just I like it a little less in the winter, but
it's very cold out right now.
Yeah, it's cold out, but so anyway, but it's great. Really, really proud of my being an official maniac, and so look forward to seeing you all live and in person back in the great state of Maine soon.
At some point, yes. Looking forward. So thank you so much for taking time out of your day to chat with us a little bit. Keep up the great work, like I said, and turtles forever. So
thank you so much. Pleasure talking to you. All right, cheers.